Okay.
Are we streaming again?
We're going to be streaming here in just a sec. Okay. So here we are back with part 2 of the May user group meeting. We just talked to Michelle. If you missed her information, go back and check the other feed. For this guy, we're going to jump over to After Effects here, and we have, hopefully all of these windows are going to function properly now. Maybe, maybe not. All right, so we're trying to get a circular mask on this bit of text. So I'm going to type circle in, and it looks like things are goofy still. I'm just going to undock the panel. Let's see if any of that will help. Maybe it's bunching up the panel based on search results and trying to keep me organized. So we'll leave it like that then. But I don't see a circle mask here.
Would it work to use the tool at the top? Just drag down the rectangle and select circle instead?
Yes, that's where I'm headed, and I've got.
Okay.
So we're getting there. We're working through some stuff here. Okay, so that gives me a circle, but it's not a circular mask. Okay, so we'll ditch that. We'll come over here. We'll go ellipse tool, and normally when I do an ellipse, I will double click here, and it fills the boundaries of my my composition. You can also come in here and click in the center and do Shift and Command drag to scale from the center and to keep everything circular. But I don't know if I was in the center of the comp. So what I'm going to do is, if I can figure out what I'm doing here, I'm going to come over and deselect my text layer, double click to get a shape layer, twirl down here and make my shape layer a circle like this, and right click my path, convert to Bezier, copy there, and make a new mask. I don't need that anymore. I've got a new mask here, and I'm just going to paste that in.
What does Bezier mean?
It's the handles that help you do the curves.
Oh yeah.
So it's this stuff right here. These handles. Those are this is a Bezier curve. So I now have a perfect circle, and I have it perfectly centered around this center point on my text. Okay. There's a little bit of a hoop to jump through, but I know it's perfect. I don't have to eyeball it or guess. Okay.
A literal hoop.
Literal hoop. I don't want to have to jump through that hoop. So now with my text, I'm going to select the mask path here, and I'll set. So once I selected the path, the mask, you can see it turned from add to none. Okay, it's After Effects helping you out a little bit there. And now my my brackets are rotating around my hoop, and I can use my first and last margins to spin them. I can also adjust with the kerning here, the tracking, and I can force alignment like that. So now that I have forced alignment, I can adjust to get the proper positioning. Let's see if I can actually do this. No judgment. first the path. Okay, so I do think I want them perpendicular to path. And man, this is killing me. Let's try this again. So I've got here. All right, so I put some spaces in there. Let's see if that helps me. And I promise you can do this because I did it once already.
Just because we're watching you.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is you guys come up here and teach and nothing ever works right. And when it does, you're like, thank you. All right, what am I going to do to fix this? I'm going to copy that mask. I'm going to delete this guy and put my text back in here like that. I will 1, 2, 3, 4 make them bigger. And I don't think I want Gungseo. I think I want like Arial black. And I'm gonna paste the mask back on there. That was not, oh, that was hide. I did M instead of V. Now we're going to do mask. There we go. Force alignment. And I want them standing straight up like that because what I'm going to do is put camera in and rotate this layer. Like that. I'll just do -90 and move my camera. Okay. So now let's see what happens when I do perpendicular to path. All right, and force alignment. Okay, that's maybe what's killing me is that force alignment. Let's see. And then we're going to use a text animator. We're going to do enable per character 3D. We'll add one rotation range selector here, one rotation animator, and I'm going to spin these on the X axis, like that. So now I have these guys in 3D space, and I'll spin them on the Y axis, so they're all pointing inside. That. And that's with my first animator. I can also, with my text, twirl down this more options and set where my, if you can look here, this little area, there's a little red X. And the red X tells me where the anchor point is for the text block for the character. Okay. And for this animator, I'm also going to add position. Let's see if it is on the Y. Yeah, so I'm scooting those back so they're basically sitting on the edge of the mask. And then, if you'll see, they're rotating around that tip. Okay, that's the anchor point. But I don't want to do that with this particular mask, or this particular animator. I want to add another animator, rotation animator. And this time I'm going to do a ramp up. Ramp up per character. I'm going to set my offset to -100. Rotate my characters down. Let's do 90, like that. And then we can animate this thing. I'll do my offset at -100, and my next move is to come down here in the timeline and use my offset with my ramp up to move these one at a time. Okay, so that's great, but that's not where I want them. I need to go back to my animator and put them at position 0, basically is what I'm looking for. So I do want to use my Z rotation and put them at -90. Maybe they're a little big. So let's add a scale here, and I'll scale them down a tiny bit on that anchor point. Like so. And then I can twirl this, and I can even call this animator 1 home position. So I know if I jack with a bunch of stuff and I don't like what I've done, then I can always just delete every animator except for that home position animator. Okay. So now we'll go back to this animator 2, and I need to actually set this now to 180 because I changed the home position. But now these guys all rotate in like the old thing with the chicken. You have the platform and all the chickens are on there, and you swing it around. It's like an old farm toy.
Oh yeah.
You swing it around and the chickens go bang, 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 bang,
Oh,
bang,
yeah,
bang.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? So that's what this is reminding me
Cracker
of. Yeah, Cracker Barrel. You can probably find one at Cracker Barrel. And in order to get those guys to whap down on there, I think I need to put this at -100. So you can see, we'll just do RAM preview. Bang, 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 bang. Cool. And now that I have them doing that thing, I will put in a disk. So we'll go get an interesting color. Like that. Is it going to kill you? 800, 800, so I've got it nice and circular. And then now it's 3D. And I'll rotate it on the X, -90. And we can check and see where it lives. Yeah, right. So we'll go right there. And maybe I hit UU to give me my size again. And we'll go like that. And there, so it actually punches in a little bit. Okay, so here is yellow circle. And this is chickens. And then let's do just a couple more circles. I'll just duplicate here, call this gray circle. Do you guys care how you spell gray? Who spells it with an E and who spells it with an A?
E for the color.
E.
I
for the
I
color.
spelled A.
A.
E for the color.
One is distinctly American and one is distinctly British.
Which one?
Oh, I didn't know that was the distinction.
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, A is American and E
Oh, A
is
is-
British.
The right way.
He is British. Guess I'm going
A is American and B is British.
I just choose based on tone, you know.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do that, and then we're not gonna do maybe everything that's in there. Do one more circle, call this red circle, and he will be small and in the middle, and he will be like that, and he will be red. Like that.
Sort of merry-go-round.
Yeah. And last one is a rectangle just for our floor. So I'll do that. Hit UU to twirl down properties. Just make it nice and big here. Like that. And hit P to twirl position. Scoot it down like that. Then the fun begins, because we're just going to come here to the chickens. Actually, let's just twirl down geometry. We'll say we're going to bevel it and go with like 100 here. So now I am at an extrusion of 100, and my bevel, let's say 4. And then I can, one more thing. I'm going to adjust my material options here and just give it a reflection, like 80%. You can see that it looks a little cartoony, which is kind of interesting.
Hey, Trent, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I know you can do it in cinema where you can have like shading plus lines and things like that. So when you selected the object, you can see the outline, the corners, but when you deselect it, it just looks like a blue blob. Is there a way to do that in After Effects?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Wireframe, I don't think is possible yet. Anybody correct me on that? No?
Draft mode.
Draft mode?
No,
In where?
that's up.
Up here?
You can see it. It's one of these.
Draft 3D?
Makes it render faster.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Wires.
No, that's a good tip for at least faster rendering. So I've extruded. I'll get a bevel. And my material is what I want to do. I want to copy my material. And normally the material will hold all the color information and all that kind of stuff in a 3D program. But for these purposes, the material is only going to be like reflection and specular and that kind of thing. So I will then paste that material onto these guys and finish up with some geometry. Angular 50. And then I can just copy those geometry options to the red circle. Like that. Let's see, where did he go? He's no longer red. Oh, that's the floor, right? So I think maybe I did two pieces, floor, there we go. So I have a rectangle and an ellipse in each of these, but I want only the rectangle in the floor. I want only the ellipse in the circle. Alright, so there we go. Geometry is good. Reflections are good. And this guy up here. Get him to the right spot. There we go. And the floor is going to be gray. And down a little bit. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to put in a light. Let's see what effect the light has.
Are you still in traffic?
I took it off. Yeah, that was the initial issue was that I was still in draft. Let's highlight just one of these guys so we can see what's going on with the light. Maybe check the light.
There.
Better. Put another light in. All right. Let's get everybody back. And that's some serious reflection on the chickens. So we will scroll down, maybe take some of that off of there. And I want to add an environment map. So I have this guy here. And if I just say layer environment map, he goes away, but he shows up in reflections. So maybe for the floor, turn the reflections down a little bit, like that. And I can use my rotation on my environment map to get different looks, like that. And the environment map is going to show up in these bevels all over here, and it's going to do these nice little highlights, random little shiny things in there, so you can see what happens when I turn it off and turn it back on. Particularly this little area right here is pretty cool. All right, and then we've already set up our animation. Now it is a 3D animation. That takes a reasonable amount of time to render.
Where's the motion blur?
Well played, sir. So if I want motion blur in this, you got to do tricks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I want motion blur in this,
You everybody do that?
bang, 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 bang. Does it make you want to go to Cracker Barrel? Tell me it doesn't.
It does not.
Oh,
It does. I just appreciate that the reflections are actually green when you've got a yellow surface.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good, huh?
Actually translates color well.
So
Very good.
what we want to do is go to this 3D animation comp and put it here and say this is going to be 3D animation effects. So then what I would do is go back to my renderer, back to classic, and put on something like CC Force Motion Blur.
Which blur is your favorite? I always usually hear that or Gaussian.
Okay, so for just blurring something, the fast blur has always been my favorite, but that's previous to 2017.
It's an obsolete now.
Yes, it is being deprecated. That is a really dirty sounding word for no longer being used, or it's being worked out of production. The reason Fast Blur was good is because it's fast, calculates fast, but it also had the edge repeating. So when you put a blur on, it didn't fuzz out your edges, and so you could see things behind the blur. Gaussian blur has always done that. What they did in release of 2017 is combine fast blur features of fast blur and Gaussian blur, and make Gaussian blur a little faster. So it's Gaussian blur, but they have the edge repeating. Right? But that's just for blurring. Right? Now, if you want to have a motion blur, a fake motion blur that isn't generated by turning on the motion blur tab here for your motion, because we can't get motion blur with our 3D renders, it's not available in the Cinema 4D render engine in After Effects. So we have to fake it. We have to take this animation, pre-comp it, take the Cinema 4D engine off, put the classic 3D rendering on, and give it like CC Force Motion Blur or Pixel Motion Blur, something like that. We'll look at it in a second. I was going to see what this looked like with the motion blur on it.
They deprecate stuff. Is it like it stays in, you can use it for a while, and then just like completely drop, you can't even access it? Is it like a period of time?
I think it's mixed.
Okay.
There was a plugin called AE Freeform. You guys remember that? Did you guys use that? It was a really good plugin. You could take a 2D object and bend it with splines with curves and get a real nice look out of it. But they had purchased it from someone, and then maybe they weren't buying it from them or licensing it anymore, so they just stopped including it. It wasn't deprecated, it just wasn't there anymore. And you had to have previous versions of After Effects with it in there. So now, Fast Blur lives in this, where is it?
Isn't it like
Three
an
up.
obsolete form?
3 up.
Obsolete.
Right there.
Yeah, obsolete.
So we don't need basic 3D. We don't need basic text. Color key, I don't know. Fast Blur, Legacy, and Gaussian Blur, Legacy. So Fast Blur has this repeat edge pixels in it.
Okay.
But because it has this legacy on there, if you bring anything that has the Fast Blur plugin up to 2017, it'll say, I can't find a Fast Blur plugin, so all the 100 layers you have that has Fast Blur on there, I don't know what to do with it.
Oh, damn.
It doesn't update your plugin to the Gaussian blur. It just says, error.
Does it even offer?
No, you have to go back through and find all your iterations of the Fast Blur and replace them.
Okay.
So it would be with the Gaussian blur here, which now has this repeat edge pixels.
Good for billing.
What now?
It's good for billing.
Yeah, it's a very good for billing. You can add like literally hours of time to your workflow.
I have a question. When you extruded those brackets, they're extruding the same direction down the same path, which is now in a circle,
Yes.
so it's going like
It
that. It's
offset
another
them.
offset. So can you line them back up?
I can, yes. Let's put this blur on here. We're going to use, nope, it's under time, and it is pixel motion blur. So I think pixel motion blur is faster, but it's not as accurate. Yeah. That could change by increasing shutter angles and stuff like that. But I think
I
it's
feel like we're designing
kind of built
the new
on
X-Men
optical
logo.
foil. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
This is
the 1996 version.
this is the X-Men like launch the nuke button, but all of these things are going all the time, so you're kind of afraid that it's going to rip your finger off at some point. Just
Look at it spins.
Yeah. 1996.
yeah. All right. So that's the difference between CC Force Motion Blur and Pixel Motion Blur. Now, I believe pixel motion blur works well in some situations. So test it out. Try it for your situations. Now let's go look at the chickens. Yellow circle. And we're going to go 2 views horizontal. Look straight down on this guy. And
So Trent, it looks like Freeform still exists, but it's a Pro plugin.
okay.
I believe on Metal, METTLE. So it's possible that maybe the rights to it reverted and
Yeah.
became like a commercial product separate from AE.
Yeah.
At some point in the past.
That's a bummer, but it still exists apparently.
Okay.
Okay.
You just change the anchor point position? Is it an anchor point?
I can, I believe, change the anchor point here, but there's no 3D. There's no Z axis on the anchor point. So we can try and change the X, but it looks like it's doing.
Is it bringing them in?
Yeah, it looks kind of like it's bringing them in. So I don't want to bring them in. What I think I want to do is rotate them on the, what's it going to be? The Y. Okay. So that kind of lined them back up. Right? Everybody agree? That lined them back up?
Yeah.
They aren't in line. If I was trying to match something, they aren't in line, so I would then need to rotate here, somewhere here to get them back in line, like that, maybe. But that's how I would kind of line them back up so they're not offset, right?
Would it have been possible, just out of curiosity, to like extrude from the center outwards, like 50% in both directions? Is that
I don't think so.
possibility? Okay.
No.
Okay. Just curious.
I don't think so. I think it starts at home and extrudes backward every time.
Using Cinema 4D, and Cinema 4D won't do that.
Okay. All right. So now
Can
we'll
you,
go back to one view. Yes, please.
Can you manipulate like any other type of, not just text, but like can you manipulate other shapes like along a path, like tied to a path, like the text is?
So you can't with your, and let's explore it a little bit before I say can. We'll explore a little bit. We're gonna go here and go Cinema 4D, and we'll create. Bless you.
Why did you go to Cinema 4D there?
With the extrusion and the environment maps and the lighting and all that stuff, I have to use the Cinema 4D 3D renderer here. Okay. So I want to go like that, and because I like,
Sorry, one second, be right back.
okay, I like 6 sides, so I'll do 6 sides, and my outer radius like this. And here's a fun little extra tip for you. I'm just going to duplicate there, make this a little smaller. We can see if I turn on the bounding boxes, and then I will go merge paths, tell it to subtract, and it's going to subtract the bottom path from the top path. But you'll notice you can't see it. So what I have to do is, with my shape layer, I have to add a fill. Okay. Sometimes, depending on where I am, if I back out of here, get rid of that, I might be able to go contents merge path here and see what it did.
It put a stroke on there.
Yeah, it put a fill and a stroke so that I can see it already. Okay, so that's just After Effects trying to be smart for me. Because I had the polystar selected when I did merge paths, it stuck it inside the polystar. That's not where I wanted it, so I had to move it out. But that's the fun bit of After Effects trying to do something for me and helping me. It did help me. So I'm going to make it 3D just because I think the bevels are fun. I'll add a bevel and extrude it. And I want to do a repeater on here. So if I'm going to repeat this, you guys are too nice. I'm going to drop it there inside the group and then add a repeater. And I have repeated, but I cannot repeat on the Z axis. Okay. Now I've made something interesting, and I can keep working with it, doing like I can rotate and I can scale to get some cool shapes like that. Put a light in there, and a camera. We can see what kind of fun stuff we have like that. Okay, so that's kind of cool, right? But it's not extruding out in a path. Okay. I would really, I mean, it's joyful to just mess around with shape layers in 3D space because you can get some interesting stuff. Okay, so I recommend that you guys go home or go to work the next day and mess around in After Effects with extruding your combining shape layers, merging shape layers, repeating shape layers, and then you can even do things like a twist and twist. Can give you cool stuff like that, so it looks a little more organic. You also have the ability to wiggle your paths, and that is animatable, and you can zigzag. Like that. Okay, so play around with shape layers, spend some time amazing yourself, and if you find something out cool that you like, bring it to the group. Okay, so we did that. That's not exactly what we want. We could do a bunch of shape layers, but maybe that's not what we want. Maybe we want to be able to use some kind of animators on these. Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, I was gonna say, if the shapes are generic enough, you can use like wingdings or another font.
Boom. Let's do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so we're going to get rid of that shape layer. We're going to put a text layer in here like this. And we're going to load up wingdings.
Do anybody ever really use wingdings?
Me.
Like, I'm not for like pretty shapes, but like,
Yeah.
like, ddid you use wingdings for
match.
like signs back in the day? Like, or like Morse code, we actually use that. Did we ever really
Morse
use?
code.
Did we actually use
Carl?
wingdings?
I just
Anybody use wingdings?
I leave notes for my wife around the house.
Did you say thanks?
I wrote my
You know, like, did we like
Well, all
ever
the,
use?
all the
I don't
kids
know.
are doing
They're
it,
not love
you know, all the kids are doing it because the parents can't read it, you know.
Yeah. That's the story.
What did you use to write your new book?
Wingdings. It's in code. It's all code. All right, so
It's the new Comic Sans.
Well, the best part is that there's 3 of them.
now I have
Wingdings, 1, 2,
1, 2,
3,
3.
and webdings.
a shape. I have a shape. Okay.
Like shapes.
And I'm going to, and there are a vast array
You
of
gotta pick
shapes.
something else. You can pick triangle out of a regular tool.
Okay, yo,
There's also ways of creating a vector shape and
and turning it into a font. So you can do that. Thanks, John, for the tip.
Welcome. It's a very triangular.
Go the arrows.
Aren't there different like categories of wing names?
There are.
Yeah.
There are very angular ones.
We're in a directional triangular.
There you go.
So maybe we'll use that shape.
All right.
We're gonna reboot this thing a lot. If you catch my drift.
So now you can spin it in Z.
Okay, so here we go. I've got my anchor point up there, and it's usually about -40 for some reason. Maybe 41, roughly up there. I'm not sure where that math is from, but that's what you get. And we're gonna do a 3D, and we're gonna actually do per character 3D. And I'm going to copy and make a bunch of copies of this, like that.
Repeating the repeat.
Repeating the repeat. Okay, so now Text Animator. I can, let's do rotate to start with, not position. Like that. That'll be 90 degrees. That's how I feel right now too. Go. And let's see which way do we want to go with this. With our camera. You know what I like to do a lot of times, guys, is set a default camera in here like this. Put a null in there. And make the null 3D, parent the camera to the null. That way, when I rotate the null, the camera goes with, and like position and anchor information and all that kind of stuff stays with the camera. And man, oh man, it'll rotate the right way soon. There we go, like that. And so then all I have to do is change the position of my camera a little bit, and here we go. So if I go in like this and then zoom out a tad, you have a little more separation. Then we just come down here. Extrude these guys like that. Maybe that's too much. Now we're zooming through the arrows.
It looked really cool when it was down low like that.
Yeah, you like that?
Are those last two different colors just because of a light you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then we can put the environment map back in there. And you can create your own environment maps. You can find them, but you can also create them yourself and just try and make seamlessly repeatable.
You can use your smartphone.
Yeah.
There's an app called PhotoSynth that Microsoft created that'll actually let you map an area just by moving your phone around.
Really?
It creates a spherical
map. Mm-hmm.
What's it called?
Photosynth.
Write that one down.
Is there a way not to get included in the map yourself?
Looks not like a.
Well, you're in the
Yeah, well,
center,
don't look at
so
it.
just keep yourself in the center, you know.
And then, of course, we can use other text animators on this to have these guys do interesting things. Like, let's move off on the Z axis. Like that. And then put back in. And here they come. Sort of full res. Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry to anyone who had seizures just now.
Oh, because there's one right over the camera.
Yeah.
So can
I think there's one that we can't see. You think you made 5 of them.
It's like behind the camera.
Should we?
You have awesome
Nice.
sound effects.
and so maybe that's the transition to get the video in right there. So that is shapes extruded with the text animators, allowing you to do interesting things.
At least wingding shapes.
Wingdings. However, as John was saying, you can do a vector shape. You can create your own font, install the font, bring it into After Effects, and Bob's your uncle.
Can you load a website real quick?
Yep.
What'd you say? And Bob's your uncle?
Yeah, you don't know that?
Who's Bob?
No?
Thought it.
But yeah, for things like this, I've used them for making like transportation signs because I need arrows or some little curve that I want to go through Illustrator and do. You know, it's like, oh, just okay, I'll find the right winding, arrow type, and then I'll add a little, twist to it, and there I have it.
That's awesome.
So
Very cool.
Where do you get your fonts from? Do you use like universal license thing?
Whatever we have licensed here, and then Typekit.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So let's go back to After Effects, and we're gonna do something. I'm gonna try to do. Yeah, I think we're just gonna talk about the exchange, graphic exchange panel, because I was going to do a skin fix from, let's see, from a freelance job I had recently with Mocha, but I think we're running out of time. So I will first of all show you something else here. We'll save that.
So I mentioned the PhotoSynth app, but it's actually been retired by Microsoft.
But there are other things,
But
right?
yeah, you can search for PhotoSynth, and I think it'll come up with other apps that do the same thing now.
Okay. All right. So this is Wingdings 3 has a box. I think it's Wingdings 3 has a box. And I just made a grid of the boxes and did 2 ramped text animators. One goes left to right. I think one goes top to bottom. And this put a little bevel on there with a different color on the bevel. Put some reflections on there. Bunched them all up together.
That sure doesn't look like a text animation.
And this is a set of text animators. I think this is maybe 2 keyframes, 2 or 4 keyframes.
And when you say grid, do you mean like a single line that you duplicate the layer and stack them, or is it like
Yeah.
you do a line, hit enter, and then is it
I'll
one
show
layer
you.
or multiple layers?
I'll show you. So let's duplicate this here and get rid of everything except the text. And go back to classic 3D.
It looks like the transition things that's at the movies.
Yeah, yeah, the Cinemark first look.
Yeah.
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 Well, but wait a second.
Text animation all along.
Yeah.
The deception.
Got him.
So this is what the animation looks like.
It's a lot of math, huh?
There's
That's pretty cool.
it's those keyframes, 6 keyframes,
That's crazy.
and that ends up being this right here.
It looks like a new innovation of whatever it may be.
So there's no motion blur in the Cinema 4D render.
There's not. There's not.
I bet it's coming. It's just not here yet.
Probably.
I want that as a GIF.
Yeah.
Stare at it.
You can look at that all day.
I'm jumping the
All
gun
right.
a little bit as far as questions, but you know how they're
Don't jump. Okay, go, Mary. Ask your question.
okay. You know how they're like making everything nearly seamless, where you could, or combining all of the softwares together. Do you think we'll get to a point where it's like this is the After Effects, Cinema 4D, 3D modeling, nope, whatever it is, or do you think it'll still everything has its place?
Like it'll all be end up just one
Because
program.
eventually, because
Yeah.
they're all
It'll be
like,
Adobe. Let's open Adobe.
you know what I mean? Like, seriously.
I see what you're saying, and I think eventually we'll have more power in After Effects, but I don't think it'll be a full-fledged 3D app. I think you'll still have to go out to something else
Okay.
to get to do your models, any detailed model, probably texturing and all that kind of stuff. You'll have to go do somewhere else. Anybody want to fight me on that?
No, because you gotta make money still.
Well, I would think that as they add in more and more 3D features to After Effects, Cinema 4D is also going to continue to like leap ahead. So it's like
Okay.
But you can't put limits on. You can't say, oh well, they're just not going to do it. I mean, we've been to the moon.
I mean,
I mean,
After that, you know.
What I'll say, just based on my observation, is that Adobe is slow to get into 3D. They're exploring different things. They've got some beta products that they're trying out for rendering 3D that they created, but they're just really slow to kind of enter into that
I think they're
workspace.
I think it's on purpose though, as far as cause there's so many 3D softwares out there that they could all like.
I think that there are other companies doing it so well, like Autodesk and now Maxon for Cinema 4D. That
Yeah.
They would have to either acquire something or really put
The-
a major investment in it.
Yeah.
to
I think
create
the
something.
partnership with Maxon is good, but I don't think it'll end up being
No, we're not gonna buy them out.
a full-fledged 3D app. I don't think so. There are other programs. HitFilm maybe has a lot of stuff built into it. Then there's
Cause I'm thinking about how like ZBrush and 3ds Max, they're like
Are they-
combined, not really.
yeah.
They'll never combine. They'll never combine because the engine behind the two are completely different. The ZBrush engine is a pixel-based engine. Actually, it looks like very 3D.
It's 2D.
It's actually 2.5D,
Hmm.
and there's like some. I've talked to the programmers about it. It's like there's things like if you're in there and you do numbers and the numbers seem like why does the number 33 not work but number 32 does? And he's like, oh, it's the math behind the pixel generator that we have and things of that nature. So it's really weird. Like, but that's how they get billions of polys on the screen. Where Max is not, it's all vector based for the most part with their points, so it's different. And it's just being good at one thing means you have to sacrifice on the other hand.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good discussion. Okay, so we're going to create a lower third here. And yes. Somebody say something?
Oh, I just said.
Yeah.
I was just, I
Oh,
was just
yeah.
excited.
All right, so we'll go here. We'll go. Oh, new name. Which new name do I want to use? I'll use Chip Dickens. That I've been collecting
Center alter ego.
collecting names that I think are hilarious. Chip Dickens. There's a
With Roscoe Steele.
tan banner, and the last one is
Sticky Pickles McGee.
tag magnet. We'll use tag magnet because I think that's pretty.
How's this?
I've heard that before. I've heard Tag Magnet before.
It's a school. There's a talented and gifted school that's a talented and gifted.
Oh, God, okay, yeah.
Okay, how's this? We saw this name in the phone book once. It was Stephanie Wangzahamajaja.
Nice. I like it.
I'm serious.
I'm down. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of a mat here. This is gonna be my title mat, and I'm gonna call this.
Time to get that name legally shortened.
And because I can't do, well, let's see, track mat, does it work?
Do it.
I am in classic 3D, so maybe that's not gonna work. Let's go back out and make sure we're in 740 because I don't think it's gonna work. Let's see. It works. All right, so we're good for now. Maybe it'll tell me no, but it's not 3D. This part of it's not 3D, so we'll probably be okay. So we will go here and do a position and change to -100. Ramp up. We're gonna do by words. Set my easing and drop this guy down like that. And sound effects by Mary. There we go. Pull up here like this. All right. So then we're going to do one more of these. This is going to be my subtitle. And instead of alpha inverted, we're going to do alpha. And this is going to be private eye. Like that. And then, since we duplicated, we can change this number probably to -112. Like that. Just scoot our keyframes over a tiny bit. Okay, so there's our title. And we are going to do a box. I'm just going to try and do this quickly like that. And make the box 3D. Move it back a little bit. And make it like that. Make it a little darker. We can make it reflective. And it's possible, unless I make that 3D. Yeah, so it gets rid of the mask, the track mat. If I do that, so I'll leave it like it is here, and duplicate the box and call this dashes. And instead of a fill, we'll do a stroke like that. Pull it toward us. Say on our stroke, just do a dash and a gap. Like that. And then we'll just offset this thing. Set it 360 divided by 5 times time. Okay, like that. And because we're 3D, we can add our lighting setup again, with the environment layer. Maybe my box is too dark. There we go. And all of that to say, let's get out of here and go into Premiere Pro. So I'm going to save this, and this is my 3D lower third. I'm going to open my window called Essential Graphics. I'm going to select the lower third composition and do a solo supported properties. Okay, so now I can see all the properties that I can drag into my Essential Graphics panel. And I know with my title here, I have a source text. Can grab that and drag it in and call this title. And then I can go here to subtitle, drag that in, subtitle, and I can maybe say we're going to change the stroke color at some point, so I'll grab that and drag it there. Call this stroke color. All right. Any questions so far?
Can you really quick say it again? You went to Essential.
Yep. Essential Graphics.
Yes. And then you.
And then I did solo supported properties. And that twirls down everything that could possibly be dragged into the Essential Graphics panel. Okay. And once I drag that thing into here, if I want to change it, so I don't have to come back to my title, I can just go here and type my name correctly. Okay. So previously, you would have to do some really interesting things to get the ability to change the text in here without just digging
Going
down,
through
finding it, and double-clicking it to change the text. Okay. So we're going to save. We're going to export motion graphics template. We're going to save it as the Essential Graphics folder because Adobe knows where that lives. We'll go to Premiere and we'll go to the Essential Graphics panel. Let's make sure what we're doing here.
You think this is how ESPN do it?
And it's possible that they have decided to templatize things well enough like this. So I'm gonna close that panel and open it again because I should be seeing a window that looks like this. And if I if I double click this thing here, I should be able to see, maybe not, let's just drag it down here into the project. I'm going to change sequence settings. And looky there. We're in Premiere Pro and we're rendering 3D out of After Effects in Premiere Pro. Not only that, if I click on this and go to the Essential Graphics panel here, you'll see that I have my title, my subtitle, and my color. So I can change my color like that, and change my name. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, you know it.
Taser face.
Nanny.
And then all it is a matter of
Should've
rendering
put
this.
some-
Okay. Keep more than one instance and different parameters.
That is a great question
I was gonna ask, why is it 3D?
because it's being rendered by the After Effects 3D render engine.
You can still-
But what did you make 3D?
All of this stuff here. So let's say I want the dashes to be attached to the box, and I want the box to rotate a tiny bit, like I could.
Okay.
So I could go take these guys and move them down a little bit. And have the box come in from off screen. I don't like that it's rotating up there. So let's come back here and put the anchor point in the right spot. Like that. Back here. Like that. Set these, to open up your keyframe velocity panel, just type in your numbers like so, and then we save that, and I think it updates already. If it doesn't, I need to save it again. Rotate, export, save. Okay. After Effects gathers it all up. And then we have, where is that stuff? Browse, there it is. Like that.
So it won't like update it in the timeline. You have to pull it back in.
Yeah, I need to figure that out.
Guess it's 'cause it's just 3D on
That's pretty fast rendering. Right there.
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Is it possible to rotate the environment map?
It is.
I mean, rotate it and like animated wise.
Yes. So we could even, I think, if we hit R here, See that you can rotate it like that.
Mhm.
But you can also, I believe, take this and put it there. Not supported.
It's broke.
So I could go supported properties and see if any supported properties exist on the environment map. And maybe they don't, but you know I want to hack the heck out of this thing, right? So let's do a null object, call it rotate, and maybe we can do like that. Not supported, so I will make it
Put
like
a
that,
slider.
and I'll do an effect slider. Slider control. Call this EP rotate. You guys ever been to Rotate, Mexico? It's really beautiful this time of year.
Is that a real place?
It just Roatan is a place, and so Rotate sounded like it. So I can maybe. Oh, I did the rotation instead of the slider. There we go. So now we're rotating there. And let's twirl down supported properties, slider, like that. And let's just see if it'll export the same thing to the same thing. Yes, replace it. Come on.
So are there limitations to the types of things you could drag into that essential graphics panel and bring over to Premiere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't know if there's an update me button. Am I seeing anything here?
If you drag in the timeline, does it update?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the
Check it in 2 months.
Read.
check it in 2 months.
Yeah, yeah. Wait for the August update. You know.
Yeah. So we'll just drag it down here again, like that. And check our edit here.
Looks like it's about to say you have some illegal piece,
Look at that.
legal
Oh, look at
element
that.
in your Premiere.
So now we are rotating like that.
I'm supposed to be able to do that, right?
I'm not supposed to do it, guys. But guess what?
In your face.
That'd be awesome if an error actually came up with your name.
Say it again.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Error.
I told you, you can't do this.
Trent, please stop.
In the lower third of the sign outside his office.
What are you doing, Trent?
That's amazing.
Guys, can you give me a minute alone on the computer? There you go. Essential graphics. Go watch tutorials. Go look it up. I'm gonna do this a little bit of research on updating the essential graphics panel.
So cool.
I was just pretty amazed that we would be able to get the 3D stuff with the essential graphics panel into Cinema 4D.
Yeah.
That excited me because you can do a lot of stuff with that in your editing software. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to take the last few minutes to vision cast? What you
No.
were telling us?
No, because I've got to go see some friends that came in town.
Oh.
But I will be thinking about it, and we will vision cast next time.
Cool.
Quick question.
So yeah.